And you need to defend yourself all the time. As you may heard, I file a few lawsuits, and I'm in the court now because they accuse me of doing stuff that I never did in my life, and they wrote lies, and I will not allow that. I will fight till the end because I don't want that they damage my reputation and my...
The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you now speak the truth and when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would have to say is, look, we hate Trump so much. We were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're an honest scum.
The explosive $500 million lawsuit involving First Lady Melania Trump has sent shockwaves straight through daytime television. And Greg Gutfeld? He didn't hesitate for a second. With sarcasm sharp enough to slice through steel, he went directly at Sunny Hostin's carefully polished persona, tearing apart what he framed as performative outrage and hollow moral posing. This wasn't just a joke or a jab. It was a full-scale public reckoning, delivered with comedy that hit as hard as the legal drama unfolding behind it. Gutfeld fired punchlines like precision-guided missiles, cold, calculated, and devastating. One thing became instantly clear: the talk show stage had turned into a courtroom spotlight.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's
agree
a
on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want
care.
anything
She
to
doesn't
do with
care
him.
about that.
She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Allegedly.
And she does.
Yeah, how do you know all this?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't...
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses.
Greg Gutfeld walked onto the set like someone who had just struck gold. Not the casino kind, not the candy store kind. This was scandal gold, pure and unfiltered. Sunny had just been hit with a massive lawsuit tied to Melania Trump, and Greg looked like a kid on Christmas morning. He didn't need a team of writers to warm him up. The moment practically wrote itself. A lawsuit this enormous, connected to a former First Lady, landed squarely in his strike zone, and he swung without hesitation. The setup was too perfect to resist.
Reserved Melania Trump is furious. The woman who wants to be First Lady is taking on several media outlets that she says printed false reports about her personal life. Now Melania is threatening to sue. Les Trent has the latest.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice.
He opened the segment wearing that familiar mischievous grin, the one that silently announces someone's about to be put on blast. Greg wasn't just holding a microphone. He was wielding it like a blowtorch, ready to melt down Sunny Hostin's spotless TV image. He immediately zeroed in on the irony. Sunny, long positioned as the moral authority of daytime television, had finally gone a step too far. And Melania, often portrayed as quiet and reserved, didn't respond with interviews or statements. She responded with a lawsuit that hit like a freight train crashing through a feel-good movie scene.
Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe. Here's how she took the news. Roll it.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Greg showed no restraint. He went straight at Sunny, painting her as a host who mistakes volume for intelligence and interruption for dominance. According to Greg, she'd built a persona around talking louder rather than listening better. He tore into the spectacle with visible enthusiasm, framing the lawsuit as the inevitable result of years spent relentlessly attacking the Trumps. He called it poetic justice, karma arriving in heels and walking confidently into a courtroom. Not subtle, not quiet, direct.
So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living, on the backs of others.
Greg then painted a vivid picture of the chaos unfolding behind the scenes. Sunny backstage, trying to act like a $500 million lawsuit was just another routine workday. Meanwhile, he joked, her team was probably frantically searching for legal lifelines, wondering whether attitude counted as a defense strategy. Lawyers scrambling, producers sweating, everyone digging through old episodes to pinpoint the exact rant that tipped the scale. Every dramatic interruption, every fiery monologue suddenly looked less like TV moments and more like potential evidence.
And then she bashes the company like they don't pay their workers.
Right.
That's like, so she's still like one of them, she's one of them. But I give him extra money. She's so sweet, that Sunny. Paul, do you catch The View very often? Is it on your DVR?
Well, it's the view into what? Domestic hell? I mean, what exactly is it a view into? And who came up with the names, if you think about it?
The irony, Greg pointed out, was almost impossible to ignore. For years, Sunny positioned herself as the calm, rational moral compass of daytime television. The voice of reason, the judge of chaos. But now chaos wasn't knocking politely. It had moved in. Greg emphasized the twist. The same person who preached accountability at every turn suddenly seemed eager to avoid it. The host who confidently dissected every Trump controversy had fallen off her own pedestal. And the final punchline? The quiet First Lady had finally spoken, and she spoke through lawyers.
Fact of life. Interesting change of tune. For more, we go to our Chief Sunny Hostin correspondent for a reaction.
Then Greg widened the lens. This wasn't just about Sunny. It was about the system that elevated her. He criticized a culture where attacking conservatives earns applause and moral credit, where sarcasm is mistaken for bravery, and where a supportive audience creates the illusion of invincibility. Melania's lawsuit shattered that illusion. Greg imagined the frenzy backstage, PR teams scrambling, forced smiles on camera, desperate attempts to spin legal consequences into moral victories. He wasn't buying it. Sunny, who often spoke about dignity and respect, had spent years tearing Melania apart. And now that Melania responded with legal action instead of silence, Sunny wanted sympathy. Greg laughed at the reversal. You don't get to play the victim after years of throwing the first punch.
Maybe one day when we finally strip away this phony race war, it will finally expose this elite mentality. And we'll find out Sunny is just like Marie Antoinette, except she says, let me eat cake.
Greg then laid out what made Melania's move so effective. She didn't respond emotionally. She didn't escalate publicly. She acted with precision. A lawsuit filed decisively and without spectacle. Sunny thought she was shadowboxing, throwing rhetorical punches into empty space. Instead, she walked straight into a legal counterpunch she never expected. Greg clearly admired the contrast. Quiet strategy versus constant noise. Then he turned his attention to the media, mocking the predictable framing that painted Sunny as heroic. Greg rejected it outright. Criticism without resistance isn't courage. It's arrogance.
It's about The View. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. You know, it's like it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But
he couldn't resist imagining how The View might frame the lawsuit on air. Somber tones, dramatic pauses, maybe even music designed to signal national tragedy. But Greg contrasted that with what he imagined was happening off camera. Producers panicking, lawyers pacing, and Sunny rehearsing her victim narrative in the mirror. He drove home the point. Activists would rally. Hashtags would trend. Commentators would shout about press freedom. But Greg called it what he believed it was. Not journalism, not bravery, just character attacks finally meeting consequences. And this time, the response came with a serious legal team and a very real price tag.
then I blame women, white women in particular.
About time.
Right, Sunny?
I think that women, white women in particular, want to protect the patriarchy here because it's to their benefit. Yeah. They want to make sure that their husbands do well. They want to make sure that their sons do well. They want to make sure that their children do well. And they want to make sure that they do well. Most of the women in some of these studies are married white women, and they do fall in line with what their husbands are doing, how their husbands are voting.
Take that, people who say she's racist. You forget that she's also sexist.
Greg didn't stop at critique. He dismantled Sunny's entire on-air performance. The exaggerated outrage, the theatrical eye rolls, the sense of moral superiority. He argued it wasn't passion. It was performance, a soap opera disguised as commentary. And now, for the first time, accountability wasn't coming from critics or viewers. It was coming from a formal legal filing with Melania Trump's name on it. Greg called the move brilliant. While critics dismissed Melania for years, she watched quietly. And when the moment came, she acted with precision. No noise, just consequence.
Toiletries, you could get fire logs. You know those big bounty towels you don't want to carry?
Those from Costco.
Somebody else those.
Fire logs? She had to tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable.
Just when it seemed the segment was ending, Greg circled back with surgical precision. He mocked Sunny's signature delivery, the pauses, the academic tone, the confidence wrapped in smug certainty. He joked about how she could turn a simple question into a full lecture. But now that same performance was buckling under pressure. Greg imagined Sunny surrounded by lawyers, trying to recast recklessness as resistance. He reminded viewers that tone doesn't erase impact. Words still matter. And now, those words carried weight measured in hundreds of millions.
This dame probably virtue signals on the toilet. But that's not the point here. While everybody else was trying to figure out how to survive as the government told us that breathing in public could kill us, Sunny was lolling around in her big house clicking on pictures of arugula while mixing Cocoa Puffs into her Haagen-Dazs.
With calm efficiency and a legal document that landed like a missile, Melania demonstrated a different kind of power. Quiet, controlled. Greg predicted the next act. A carefully staged interview, soft lighting, emotional framing. He dismissed it. Applause doesn't sway judges, and sympathy doesn't erase legal consequences. When the cameras shut off, all that remains is accountability. Greg closed with his trademark smirk, leaving the audience with one final truth. This wasn't just a lawsuit. It was a reminder. Even the loudest voices can be challenged. Sometimes justice doesn't shout. Sometimes it just files.